Thank you guys for joining the Gamepad Saga podcast. And this is part 2 of our Mega Man episode. I hope you enjoy.
All right, we're on to the X series now.
You see, you got
Yeah, man,
content.
we're gonna go to the X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Let me just sit back a bit.
No, you could chime in.
I'm gonna be
Shit.
very proud of you. I'm gonna be nodding
So-
my head like an OG.
For the ones that are not familiar with Mega Man X, tell us about it.
No, well, I mean, it's the next iteration. So, side note, before we even go any further, in the actual show, in the Mega Man show,
Mm-hmm.
X and Mega Man actually meet
Do they?
through time travel. Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Everything's
do.
about time travel. Like,
Mhm.
we have all these shows. I guess it's just kind of like hand waving. Oh, how can we have a meet?
Yeah.
Or how can we change something? We'll just say, oh, time travel.
Yeah,
We're good.
yeah. Time paradox. There
Yeah.
you go. So, yeah, they actually met in the show. And so the start of X was in 21XX.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I just give a little backstory. So it's not Dr. Light at this point. Dr. Light is dead.
No,
I
R.I.P.
can't remember the guy's name. It was another doctor. I don't know if he worked with Dr. Light at all. But Dr. Light had created Mega Man X. X was not ready for the world. Actually, let me rephrase that. The world was not ready for X.
Hey,
I don't think they ever were.
No, I don't think they were. God, I
Where
can't remember.
my
Can you look up the
dogs at?
doctor and see who it was that found Mega Man X? So he was contained for 100 years,
Oh, wow.
or close to 100 years into a time capsule. I guess that being developing Dr. Kane, that's who it
Dr.
was,
Kane,
Dr.
yeah.
Kane. Developing his mind, giving him free will, all the information that's in the world already.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Mega Man X.
So it kind of sounds like they, I guess, reinvented from the original.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the most part.
Kind of now, since they're on a different platform, they can go a little further with things.
Yeah.
Or like they actually started giving them, I guess, more backstory, I guess.
Yeah. So he started out as a Maverick Hunter. So
Mhm.
Mavericks are they're now reploids. They're not robots. They're reploids. Reploids were helpers to humanity,
Okay.
and he was a Maverick Hunter along with Zero, which we'll talk about here shortly. Sigma, who is the main villain, is also a reploid.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, Brian, fact check me if I'm wrong, but he was a newer model reploid, correct? Because he was created after Mega Man X, because Mega Man X was already in the capsule.
I think you're on the fire, man.
So Mega Man X and Zero are considered old reploids, like first generation reploids. Sigma is like further down the line. So he's more updated, more sophisticated, all that good stuff. Sigma was actually the leader of the Maverick Hunters. And this is information I got from the original movie. Go ahead.
So to piggyback what you're saying, because he's on fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you were doing these iRobot comparisons before, E?
Yeah.
In this game, this is where the revolution happens, where the reploids are turning against humanity
Mhm.
at this point.
Okay.
So yeah, this is pretty much it. Like Sigma's like basically, try doing his thing and
Mhm.
and being the leader that he is with the Maverick Hunters. All the reploids or all the bosses that you'll see throughout the game, besides Mega Man X5, they are all reploids that were part of the Maverick Hunter team.
Okay.
So the first Mega Man X, you'll have all those robots that were like captains or commanders in the first Maverick Hunters. But Sigma one day kind of just like had an awakening basically, and was like, hey, you know what? If I have the power to do this, I can do anything I want.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when the turn, like what Brian said, the turn of humanity against humanity happened. Zero and X tried to fight against Sigma. Zero got disabled very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
very quickly by Sigma. Sigma was a very skilled fighter, and Mega Man X, on the other hand, he had a power that he awakened that we don't know about yet. And
Mhm.
I even think throughout the series, after watching that movie, you don't even see that power. Because did you see the movie at all?
I did not. No.
So so you know how Sigma has those scars above his, or like through his eyes.
Yeah.
Well, Mega Man he got his arm. He's got his arm blown off, so he had one arm and basically was disabled.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got so upset about the situation that his left hand was glowing, and he almost crushed Sigma's skull.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is that Sigma? But he almost crushed Sigma's skull, and his ring finger and pointer finger went over his eyes and raked his eyes, and that's why he has those scars. But then he froze.
Sigma froze or Mega?
No, Mega Man froze.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, Sigma left him there. And he was like, this could be interesting.
Yeah.
Left both of them there and then went on his merry way. And so this was the start of Mega Man X, the first one. So what was it? You had 8 robots in that one. You had Chill Penguin. You had Launch Octopus, Armored Armadillo, Spark Mandrill, Storm Eagle.
This is the one they had like a lot of good art as well.
Yeah, they had really good art. You had Chameleon. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. I'm missing 2 others. Chameleon.
Because they're doing 8 still, right?
Yeah, they're doing 8. So I got 6 so far.
You said Armadillo, Chill Penguin, Flame Mammoth, and
Boomer Quanger.
Yeah, he's on it.
Boomer Quanger. Yeah, those, again, soundtrack for this game was fucking flawless.
Yes.
Flawless.
Yeah, many games have great soundtrack.
Yeah, Mega Man games do have. I mean, Capcom knows what they're doing when it comes to the soundtrack, especially when they're doing the CPS 1 and CPS 2 music. But, basically, you start at the first level, the introduction level, which is iconic. Whoever has played Mega Man X knows that this level is iconic. The soundtrack for it is iconic. And this is where we meet Zero. You get to the final boss, or you get to the boss at the end of the level, who I believe his name is Vile. He's a war robot that was created for destruction only. Basically, he traps Mega Man in some type of like ensnarement of electricity or something like that, and Zero comes and saves the day and basically says, "Leave it to the big boys to go ahead and take care of those Mavericks.
Take care of my light work.
Yeah, take care of my light work and handle those 8 bosses for me. I'm going straight to Sigma." Zero gave no fucks. But Zero was also a reploid who was a sidekick to X. However, we're going to get later in the story about his back information, because it wouldn't be so like intriguing if I told the information now. So we're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about later around X4, X5.
Okay.
Where we get that information. But basically, yeah, we're stopping Sigma, kind of like with Dr. Wily. We're going through the 8 robots. Again, there's same formula. You have to go through a certain way to go ahead and use the weaknesses towards robots.
Okay, so they still
the reploids. So it's still kind of they still kind of have that.
Okay.
With that, you go through the 8 robots, and then you have I think there's 3 Sigma stages, kind of like with the Wily stages at the end of the game.
Right.
And then the second stage the first stage is more of a level that you would go through like a normal level. But you have the spider as the boss at that one. I believe Zero, this is the first time you've seen Zero get defeated by Vile. Then you fight Vile, and then you fight the spider afterwards, like immediately after. Once you fight the spider, you then go through another level, which is a boss rush. So you'll have like 4, I think it's 4 stages. You have like 4 bosses you fight in that one. The next one is another 4 bosses you fight.
Right. So they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Repeating.
And then you go ahead and fight Sigma in the last stage. You kind of, what you were saying, B, earlier about scaling the wall. So you scale the wall up there and you fight Sigma. However, the dog that you fight a dog first, and it resembles Treble, if you remember. It's a purple dog. You fight him, he spit hot fire.
Dylon dog.
Dylon.
By the way, that ruined his career?
Did it?
Yeah.
The show?
Yeah, that Chappelle skit actually ruined his rap career.
It probably saved his life at this point.
Probably, but he ain't getting money for it.
I mean, you might not be getting money, but you could be getting years. Because look at Shine. Shine said the same thing. He said, you know, but yeah, Dylon, I mean, shout out Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Shout out Dave Chappelle.
Actually, no, fuck that. Dylon was supposed to like drop hot fire, but he had like
he never did.
fucking immigration things. Like, remember he got like arrested and I used to follow that show religiously.
All I'm gonna say is Diddy was a part of that, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
All right, before we continue, do you remember the other making the band with the sangers?
With the girls with Danny Kane?
No, not them
The one
singers.
before.
The Day 26, the boys, the men.
Day 26 wasn't bad. They came out with a couple good songs.
They were very good, but the problem, but I'm about to deliver to you, is I've never seen an R&B battle off in my whole life. So if you've
never watched the verses?
Well,
I'm talking about like,
then.
you know how you go to somebody, you be like, I'm gonna rap a battle against you.
Yeah.
These guys were like, although we go, like go on YouTube, watch that and come back to me.
Well, I think
that is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my whole life when it comes to music. They were literally singing off.
Well, that's just like the,
you don't even know.
I don't know, harmony groups or whatever.
No, they weren't harmonizing. No. They were battling.
That's like the same thing.
I make love to you.
Yeah, he would do that, and I'll come
like you on,
and I'll come back at him on like back at one where Brian McKnight or something.
You
I've been, I was surprised. I was like, and they were taking off their do rags, yelling at each other like this.
Oh my gosh!
I'm telling you, watch it on YouTube. Come back to me.
All right. I'll do that.
You guys are gonna be like, yo, that guy is saying some real shit right there.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. So mechanics of the game, well, basically you fight the dog that looks like Treble, and you fight Sigma. There's two phases of Sigma battle. Basically, he's got his little plasma sword or whatever. He has like a little pattern. He jumps off the walls. You just got to make sure you follow the pattern. And I believe you have to use your regular weapon, the Buster.
This is the first game that they introduced the swords, because Zero had a sword.
Zero had a sword, yes, but you couldn't use it.
Well, you couldn't even play as him until 3, I thought.
Right, yeah, 3. But a lot of people didn't know that. A lot of people didn't know you could use him in 3.
We'll get there. But like, I think this is the introduction of the plasma sword because of Sigma.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you fight him. He has got a plasma sword. He's got like a pattern that you got to follow, just like every other boss. And then he has a floating head that goes into this huge fucking machine. And you're going to be like, oh, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Because every time I got there, I was like, what do we do here? Let's do a missile. So, the missiles were heat seeking and all that good stuff. Oh, yeah, it would just like spin around on his head. It wouldn't even hit him. So I'm like, all right, you know what? This is ridiculous. But you got to go on one of his hands that shoot lightning. So you got to like jump off at times and get back on it. And you got to use the rolling shield or just a regular Buster to go ahead and hit the neck. So you don't hit the head, you hit the neck. How does that work? I don't know. You would think the head would be something you target, but I digress. So yeah, you hit the neck of this machine, and then you kill it. The island explodes, and then at the end, not Zero, but Mega Man's like, oh, why are we fighting? Why must I live like this? Like just questioning.
Yeah.
But overall, is probably one of the best Mega Mans I've played. I would say the mechanics of the game was really good. You don't have the sliding, but you do have the dash. So you get that on Chill Penguin stage. So there's body level ups that you get. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 capsules that you come across.
So what does this do? Like add armor? Or?
Yeah, it adds armor to you. So you actually have like the ultimate armor for that specific game. Each armor is different. So X 1, 2, and 3 has one specific armor that you get, and it changes each game. X4, I think you had one armor. Yeah, you had one armor in X4. X5, you had multiple armors. X6, you had multiple armors, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Damn, so they were really just releasing a game every year?
Yeah, pretty much. They basically, you get the charge shot for it as well.
Well, I mean, he'll probably get to it, but that's when they start going 3D.
That's
what?
True.
What are you talking about?
The series of
just why they kept dropping games.
Because he was saying they were dropping games.
Well, there was a stint where between X6 and X7, there was a long time before X7 came out.
What's the joint? I'm probably going ahead of myself, but like I like the fact where he was without his helmet.
That's Legends, so that's several thousand years later.
Oh, jeez. The Mega Man can't get a break.
That's several thousand years later. And then you had Battle Network, which I believe is after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd have to double check that. So that's Mega Man X for the most part. You know, you ended up having him question why things are the way they are. Again, with his development for over the years of being in that capsule, he's the only robot that has free will.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Actually, him and Zero are the only robots that have free will, but all the other, I keep saying robots, they're reploids. All the other reploids have free will. They just don't know how to use that free will like Zero in X.
Yeah.
So
does the game explain why?
No, it doesn't, because Sigma gets a hold of them.
Okay.
Sigma gets a hold of those other reploids.
Okay.
And, convinces them like, hey, this is what it is. Like, the humans don't like you. And the humans just started not liking them because of what Sigma was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, they all want to live freely. They're dealing with that, and they think that the humans are the opposition when it's actually Sigma.
Right.
So, moving on to X2, and I may need a little help with this one. X2 and X3.
Hold on, this is E's favorite part.
Go ahead.
What's the number of the release?
What do you mean, what's the number? As far as when?
You should already know, bro. You don't. It's 6 months after.
Oh my gosh.
No, dead ass.
They really
6 months after?
Yes.
Christ almighty.
So I think they kept that through the games. 3 months, 6 months.
They were cooking with gas. They had a formula.
X1, 2, and 3, I know were in very short periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
I know they were in very short. That I do know. But the original Mega Mans, I thought that was like few and far between. But that's why we got like, oh, did we even finish the other ones?
Yeah, we're done with them.
We're done.
Okay, we're done. But we didn't get to robot influenza, COVID-19 for the robots. It's Mega Man 10.
I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, Mega Man 10. That came out in what, 2010? 2010? Mega Man 9 came out in 2010? Or Mega Man 10?
We skipped 9 and
8,
10,
9, 10.
not to be confused with X.
Yeah, okay.
I would have thought
9
X
and 10,
was 10 as
9
well.
and 10 are really good. 11's good too, But
yeah, that's the COVID ones. If you guys ever want to check that out.
Yeah, this COVID era. Mega Man 9 was Mega Man 10 was definitely was COVID for that game's era. So
X2 here.
Caught a virus.
So
the
after the
influenza.
destruction of Sigma and the Maverick Rebellion.
So 6 months later, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there was a huge war going on at the beginning, first stage, the first intro stage. There was a huge war between the reploids, or the Maverick Hunters, and Mavericks. You go through.
Oh my God, it's 8 of them again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, these ones I don't remember, so you might have to pull them up for me.
It says that, so E, I'm going to help you out with that if you need me. But
Go for it, man.
basically, excuse my voice, coach over here. So they discover microchips with Sigma's insignia on it. And Dr. Kane traces these sources. And apparently there's like 8 new Mavericks that are wreaking havoc on these hunter bases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it states that they're manipulating the weather, summoning armies of scrap, and spreading the dangerous Maverick virus over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the bosses go, excuse me, we have a dinosaur tank. What the hell? What happened
Dinosaur Tank was later. It was later in the game.
Where's the man's at? Like Wheel Gator.
Yeah, Wheel Gator's one.
Bubble Crab.
Bubble Crab.
Flame Stag.
Mm-hmm.
Morph Moth.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be careful saying these things. Magna Centipede, Crystal Snail, Overdrive Ostrich, and Wire Sponge.
They really had a thing for creating names for these.
Yeah. So there's something very significant with these bosses. So depending on what you used to beat them, there was a specific animation. Yeah. Those are the guys. There's a specific animation. So actually, Wire Sponge, if you got I think it was.
It shows a weakness as well.
Not the centipede. Who was it? Oh, let me see. Spin Wheel, Silk Shot.
I know
The
somebody
Sonic
that's played
Slicer.
every
So
one of these games.
if you beat
Clearly wasn't me.
Overdrive Ostrich, if you beat him, and you got the Sonic Slicer, and you went to fight Wire Sponge, he actually, if you beat him with the Sonic, was it Sonic Slicer?
Mm-hmm.
You actually see his body split in half.
Oh, really?
Before he explodes.
So that's the thing we were talking about, E, like earlier in the shenanigans.
Yeah.
That they all have weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So they did a really good job in showing like, hey, this is what it is. Like, if you use a weakness, you'll see the weakness actually doing its job.
That's awesome.
That's gangster.
Yeah, I like when games do that.
Yeah, it was actually pretty
That
cool.
little
I think
extra
it was like, I believe that was the only animation that was there for that. Basically, we'll go and just not beating a dead horse. You go through the Sigma stages again. You fight Sigma for the second time. X3 was a bit different. This is where what Brian said, that we could go ahead and use Zero. Now, Zero had a mechanic where, you still had the dash. So when you started out with an X3, you still had the dash. So you didn't have to get that with the body armor upgrades. And again, I'm not going to say this again, but each game had body armor upgrades. I will go through it in the higher X games because there's multiple armors in those. X3, you could use Zero at the beginning at the beginning stage. I believe it was like maybe a little bit in, because you get captured by one of the Maverick Hunters that turned Maverick.
So they're no longer called Robot Masters?
No, they're Maverick Hunters.
Maverick Hunters.
Because going Maverick meant that you're going against humanity, or the code of what reploids represent.
Okay.
So that means you're going Maverick. However, there's a twist later. There's a twist later, and I think B knows about it.
Oh no, I'm just enjoying this.
Okay, there's a twist later about that, but we'll get to it shortly. So you get captured as Mega Man from one of the Maverick Hunters that turned Maverick, and you get to be Zero for a short period of time. So you can defeat him real quick.
Introducing character switching.
Yeah, you can character switch. However, a lot of people didn't know about that. So what you would have to do is you hit the start button. If you played on Super Nintendo, you hit the start button, and then you hit the select button. And then it'll pop up. It'll do a little sidebar. It'll pop up with Zero's face, and it says, "Hey, I'm tagging in," or whatever it is. And then it'll go back to the game, and then it'll switch.
There's a caveat though. You can't use him in a boss fight.
Yes. Can't use it in a boss fight. Because every time you got to the
it would automatically
the door,
switch.
it'll automatically switch you.
You got the story for X3? I got you, man. Kick your feet up. So this one here is talking about after Sigma's rebellion was crushed by X, Zero, and the Maverick Hunters, right? Your brother hit every fucking nail on the head, dog. But there's a reploid scientist named Dr. Doppler. Oh, these fucking names in Doppler radar, right?
Yeah.
He identified an advanced virus that was forcing the reploids to go Maverick, dubbing it the Sigma virus. So you claim to have anti-synthesize this virus, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Mavericks were supposed to have been neutralized by Dr. Doppler, but they began to riot. I'm not going to do what you do, E, and just read all this shit. I can assume that basically Mega Man and his homeboy were called up yet again.
Yeah.
To go clean up this mess.
Yeah.
And
we need you again.
8 new Mavericks again. And this time around, I kind of played that off real good. I'm going to give myself a high five. You got Blast Hornet, Blizzard Buffalo, Toxic Seahorse. This shit sounds like some bad weed strands. Tunnel Rhino, Volt Catfish, Crush Crawfish, Neon Tiger, and Gravity Beetle. Yeah, there you go. And Gravity Beetle, excuse me. So that's going to be X3. And this is the one that you can obtain the Z Saber for Zero as well. And I believe this is the one that introduces the Air Dash. Kasha.
The Air Dash, yes. I believe you do not have the upgrade for that, correct? Yeah, I think it's something that you can use without doing the upgrade.
This is the game where in the first 2 games they do the armor collecting, but you can also collect enhancement chips, which further upgrade the armor parts in a wider range. To me, that sounds like a lot of customization.
It is, but it isn't. It's just a lot of going out of your way to get it.
It sounds like some Destiny shit. Let's move forward. I'm not happy about it, trust. X4.
Gotta extend the gameplay, man.
So X4 was 2 different games. 2 different games in one, basically. Because you could choose to play as X, or you can choose to play as Zero.
Yep.
Oh, so they gave you the option.
Yeah, they gave you the option this time. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, playing Zero in X4 was the hard mode.
And that's what they did.
Playing Mega Man was the normal mode or easy mode, I guess you would say. Intro stage to those, it's the same thing. They both have different soundtracks for each one. However, both soundtracks are fucking amazing. again. Fucking amazing. So basically, you come across one of the Maverick Hunters, which supposedly is someone you trust, someone's a teammate of yours. Magma Dragoon, I think it was. He is then saying to you at the end of the stage, like, oh, well, at the end of half the stage, he says, hey, was it some ship, right? It was some ship or something like that they were on.
Yeah, because a colonel, right?
No. It wasn't that. I think that they were trying to extinguishing all the Maverick Hunters that were on the ship.
Okay.
Because like they all went rogue, and the ship was exploding, and Magma Dragoon comes up and says, hey, the ship is exploding, you need to get off. And Mega Man or Zero is questioning, like, well, what can we do to help? Because if this ship goes down, it's killing a lot of people. This is X4 was the first time where death of like humans were a thing, right? And it crashes. So it crashes, and I mean, leave your mind up to the imagination. There's a lot of people that was killed,
right?
So it was kind of the first time where X got really dark for the most part. And then, you had your intro boss that you fought and all the rest of the good stuff. The mechanics, kind of the same thing. You have your charge shot. You can scale walls by jumping off of them. You still had your dash at the time. I believe Zero had a double jump. And I forgot to mention with X3, Zero had 3-shot charge. So it was, he had 2 busters, he had 1 shot and another shot, and the last charge was a sword slash. So I forgot to mention that. So yeah, that, and then Zero just had his, I think it was a 3-slash combo, something like that. Yeah, 3-slash combo. And then as he progressed in the game of beating bosses, he got new moves that you could use, which also would help with weaknesses and stuff. Let's see. Can someone pull up the bosses for me? I don't remember them.
You got a web spider, split mushroom, cyber peacock, storm owl, magma dragoon, frost walrus, jet stingray, and slash beast. Now, like what you were saying, Key, is that if you were going to play, the final bosses were double if you were X, and Iris if you were Zero, and then General, the boss rush, and Sigma.
So this was not the Mavericks. These were the Repliforce. These bosses were, and the Repliforce was a group of reploids that wanted to coincide with humans. So Magma Dragoon was the start of the Maverick Hunters turning against the reploids. So now it's more of like who's right in this picture.
So what, they're fighting against themselves?
No. So the Repliforce was an army of reploids. Some of them were battle reploids. Some of them were helper reploids. I mean, you had a bunch of different things that made up the Repliforce. Think of it as like a huge community that came together, or an army that came together, but they all have different things that they specialize in, and they wanted to coincide with humans, right? They wanted to be, even in the beginning, when you see like the cutscene and stuff like that, you see this dark figure talking to Colonel, and Colonel's like, basically the dark figure is like, no, you know what, the Maverick Hunters are doing this, and this, but if you side with me, then we can go ahead and make the Repliforce stronger, blah blah blah. Right. It was Sigma because he was like cloaked and everything like that, but he was like, yeah, you can get the fuck out of here because we're not doing that. Thank you though. I appreciate your offer, but we're not doing that. And so that was kind of the beginning of that. And so Sigma got a hold of Magma Dragoon, was like, hey, I need you to do this, or I can offer you this, or whatever it is that he offered. And that's why that ship went down and killed all those people. And it was blamed on the Repliforce. So then now we're fighting Colonel and General, and we don't know why we're fighting them. That's just the thing.
Blindly fighting.
Yeah, just blindly fighting them because we think that they're Mavericks, and we're the Maverick Hunters. But they're like, hey, no, this is not what we're doing here. But now you got to think about the Maverick Hunters are always claiming people to be Mavericks or Reploids to be Mavericks, but who's the Mavericks here? So that's why I say it's kind of different. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you clean out all the Reploids or the Repliforce for the most part. And then, you fight Sigma for the fourth time. I think Sigma is some type of like dead reploid type thing or something like that. I don't know. But
Okay.
yeah, you fight him. I think is there 2 parts to this one, or X3 had 2 parts? I think X4 had 2 parts.
Because of the double protagonist
Yeah.
thing.
And then Duo, what you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a character in X4 by the name of Double.
Double, yeah.
I don't know. Double, Duo. I mean, it's the same thing. Duos 2, Doubles 2.
Yeah.
He actually was a informant for Sigma, and he was at the Reploid or the Maverick base, and he wiped out all the guards that were there. You finally fight him in X4 as well.
Yeah, he's been around for a couple
games,
and you finally get to give him his ass.
So
open.
he was actually a double crosser.
See, you don't know what box you open up just now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wake y'all up here.
Yeah.
Because E's like, what the fuck did I open up here?
Hey,
so
like I said,
This is an advanced. This is different than the 1 through 8, where you're like beating up 8 random people for Dr. Wiley.
Mhm.
This is now politics and shit.
So now you fight General. Well, you fight Colonel. Wait, Colonel? Which one's Colonel and General? Colonel's the big one. General's the smaller one. Okay, yeah. So General is actually Iris's brother if you use Zero.
Okay.
You fight him, and then you fight General later on. Then you fight Sigma. And then when the ship or whatever apparatus that you're using or on is going down, General and half of his body after you decimated him
Mm-hmm.
tells you to leave and he'll take care of the rest. So he basically absorbed the blast of the ship or whatever you were on that didn't kill anyone or destroy anything. He just sacrificed his life to make sure that you got out and that everyone else was safe. So that was pretty much X4. At the end of each character's thing, they had some type of dialogue that happens. It was a cutscene. And I remember this because I remember playing X4, and I remember this was very significant to me that X was actually questioning what his existence was. And he was talking to Zero, but Zero didn't want to answer that. Zero did not want to answer that. So a little bit more backstory about X4 is that Zero was actually, and you may know this, Zero was actually an ultimate creation from Wiley. Wiley created him.
Mm-hmm.
Or it, robot, the Reploid itself, just like he did Base. But I think Base was more both Dr. Light and Wiley. Zero was basically Wiley, and he was supposed to be a counter to Mega Man X.
Mm-hmm.
In X4, this is before, they go back before Sigma turned into a Maverick. But, I mean, again, is he really a Maverick? Or if he's got free will, did he do this on his own, right?
Right.
So they were saying that there was a Maverick in this facility that was destroying it, all the rest of that good stuff. Sigma goes in there, finds that it's Zero. And Zero just basically fucking manhandles the shit out of Sigma. Sigma, I'd have to show you the clip. Sigma was a bitch compared to what he is now. Sigma was getting fucked up. And what ended up happening was Zero kind of had this, like, I wouldn't say a seizure, but, you know, they have these little diamonds on their heads.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a W that showed up. And it kind of like just kind of stunned him a bit. And then Sigma saw, like, his one-armed ass just saw that he was like, oh, well, this is my opportunity. Fucking busted him right in his face, right in his head, and broke the diamond.
Oh, wow.
And knocked him out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how the Maverick Hunters captured Zero. And that's how Zero became a Maverick Hunter. Because they were like, well, we can use his potential. They had no traces of Dr. Wiley. But I believe in X5, which we'll talk about in a little bit, there's some traces. So, yeah, so that's kind of the backstory with X4. Moving on to X5, my favorite one, but a lot of people say that this is a really good one. But now that people are going re-reviewing it, they're saying that it's not the best one.
Not the best one, huh?
They're saying it's not the best one, which I can understand because I've played X5 and it's a very fucking frustrating game. With X5, basically, let me think back here.
Oh, good. It's on the Mega Man X Legacy Collection too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of them are on there.
No, I'm just saying.
besides like Battle Network and Zero and all the rest of the good stuff. But I mean, I'm pretty well versed with Zero too, so we can go into that in a little bit. But X5 comes up. Now we are dealing with the virus that you guys are talking about earlier.
The virus.
This virus has been very worked on, very well worked on, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the series, you had a mysterious reploid who is following a dark, mysterious man. I mean, you can obviously tell it's Sigma just because the eye outline and stuff like that. And basically, he was saying that he had went ahead and scattered a virus. Scattered it where? We don't know at this time. What the virus is, we also don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, now we are. I don't know how far along we are. I don't think this one's 6 months. I don't think this one's 6 months. After X4, I think it's a little bit longer than that. Now we're in a time where it's a little bit.
I think it's like post-war, right? Post-war, it says.
Post-war?
Yeah, because the X4 was the Maverick War, the Reploid War.
Yeah, the Reploid.
Several months after the
Force War.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And then this one here, they're trying to rebuild after all the damage.
Yeah, so fix my hair here. Check out my bass, my snare drum. Okay, here we go.
Snare.
I take a sip of water. So X5, we're now getting into, we're at post-war, like Brian said. We got some.
You were saying that the dark image of Sigma has been appearing as usual. That guy.
Actually, no, that wasn't X4. That was X4. Wait, no, did I say that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, because he was talking with the other reploid. Okay, got you. So now we got the intro stage. So again, you can pick either Mega Man or Zero. If you do pick Zero, if you pick Zero, there's a way that you can get the Zero black armor.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pick Mega Man, you get the 4th armor. So in Mega Man X4, you start out with the upgraded armor. And you have all the upgrades and stuff like that, all the uses for it. Same intro to both characters. And then you fight some pseudo Sigma character. You do have a ducking mechanic now. You can actually crouch. Yeah, you can crouch in Mega Man. Like, maybe if I bend my knees a little bit, maybe I can miss some shots here and there.
And it took them,
I can dodge.
14 games?
Yeah. A while.
Well, I don't want to say Nintendo had limited capabilities, but I'm sure there was other Nintendo games that did allow your character to crouch. Or
Mario's been ducking since 1946.
When I'm in the 1st grade, I'm working really hard to get Mario laid. Yes. Shout out to Benefit. Is it Benefit that sang that song? Benefit or Profit? That's Benefit. Super Mario Rap.
I'm with it.
I don't know.
No, none of y'all have heard that?
I'm not gonna lie to you. No.
Oh,
No.
wow. Y'all got to listen to that. It's pretty
Mario's
good.
been laid. He lays the pipe down. He's a plumber. Wow.
Well, I mean, think about it this way, right? Think about it this way. And before we get into X5, I'm dropping this dime, okay?
Do it.
How many times has this man went to go ahead and save this woman?
Oh, yeah.
Multiple, right?
Yeah.
She family.
She's family, but you really think he got any from all this?
I don't know. Maybe Mario don't kiss and tell like these little bitch ass people in Brevard County. Yeah. Shout out to Brevard County Countdown. The fuck you gonna talk about? Yeah, I got Peach. We know you with Peach.
Yes.
There ain't no other woman out there. It says Daisy, and Daisy, she Latin, so maybe that's Luigi. I don't know.
Or lady.
What happened?
Or
Lady.
Rosalina.
Rosalina. Yo, where'd she come from? Which game was that?
I believe it was Was it Donkey Kong?
Well, Lady.
Lady came from Donkey
She
Kong.
was in.
Rosalina came from
I'm thinking
Super Mario Land on Game Boy.
Okay.
You right.
I was thinking of Lady
I had that
to
game.
Pauline. You gave her?
Pauline, yeah. Pauline.
What?
His name was Rosalie? I didn't know it was Rosalie.
Rosalina?
Rosalina.
Rosalina?
I didn't know that.
No. It's either Super Mario Land or Mario Galaxy.
No, it was on the Game Boy.
Well, Super
It
Mario
was on
Land.
the
then.
Game
Yep.
Boy. Because first of all, you talk about Pauline. She ain't in Mario Kart. She don't count.
That's right.
She don't count. She's not in Mario Kart. So yeah, back to X5. So we get the intro stage. You still have the mechanics where you're scaling walls by jumping off. You have charge shots, of course. I believe this one allowed you to actually charge your weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You actually had nope, because original X1 allowed you to charge your weapons. So all games have allowed you to do that. But it gave you your weapons on a designated button. So if you change to a different one, I think X4 and X5 did this. So you change to a different weapon instead of using square, or I guess it would be square because it would be PlayStation at this point.
Yeah.
You could use triangle to use the other weapon.
Other weapons?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could still use square as your buster, but then have your weapon as a backup. Can someone pull up the bosses for me on this one, please?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, you got it. Okay. These names are hilarious.
Yeah.
No, it's all you.
So
I
yeah,
wanna
go
hear
ahead.
You say it.
Go ahead. And I have something to add to that.
That's
after
all
this.
you, bro.
Crescent Grizzly, Tidal Whale, Volt Kraken,
You cheating, dog. You going slow.
Shining Firefly,
Okay.
Dark Necrobat,
Mhm.
Spiral Pegasus, Burn Denorix, and Spike Rose Red, I guess.
Okay. So, fun fact: those are the Japanese
These
names
Japanese
of those
names.
characters.
Okay. Huh.
So, what are the English names of those characters?
Oh, there we
Be
go.
something crazy.
Whale McDuff is one.
Oh God.
I think Axel Rose is another. Well, not Axel Rose, but something Rose. I can't remember.
Axel the Red,
Axel
got,
the Red.
Matrix.
Duff McWhalen,
Duff
Squid
McWhalen.
Adler,
hmm
Izzy Glow, Dizzy, the Skyver, Matrix, and the Axel the Red, like you said.
And you got Grizzly Slash, right?
Grizzly Slash.
That's
So
just lazy as shit.
actually, no, it's actually really interesting
They're
because
hard.
a lot of these characters are named after Guns N' Roses.
I know one of them sounded like Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, well, Axl Rose. Axl Rose
Yeah.
would be it, but all the other characters are the members of Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. All right. So Japanese people were doing like, the developers really appreciated the.
Yeah, remember rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rush. There you go.
Or is it just a way to get us Americans to buy it?
It could be that too. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that
Put their
one.
name in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give you that one. So yeah,
Michael
so
Jordan.
before I go into it, Squid Adler actually has a tie to the first Mega Man X. Squid Adler was actually either good friends or lovers with Launch Octopus.
Come through, Snapple Facts. Come through.
You kind of can tell because before each boss fight, there is a dialogue that happens between either X or Mega Man,
Right,
between the Mavericks, and Squid Adler had said something about leaving after Launch Octopus was killed.
He's right.
So yeah, some of these Mavericks have a tie from some of these other Mavericks from other games.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, running through the same thing. You fight all your bosses. You go ahead and do the Sigma stages, boss rush, and you fight Sigma
Again?
for the fifth time.
Jeez.
For the fifth time. I would say, just a side note, I would say like X5 was one of my favorites
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't say the stage design is great. Again, I can't get past soundtracks because if you got a good banging soundtrack, it's a great game in my mind to listen to. However, I feel that there was a lot of nostalgia with X5 because it was kind of like I was in like what 5th or 6th grade when X5 came out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was 7th grade when X6 came out. Right, so I mean, they came out actually. To be honest with you, they came out less than a year apart
Oh, wow.
because X5 was actually supposed to be the last game. Kind of going to the end of the game.
Yeah, X5 came out in November 2000.
And then I think December of 2000 was X6. If I'm
November 29th, 2001.
2001. Okay. So, I mean,
Unless they were working on them back to back.
well, X6 wasn't supposed to be created. X6 was
Okay.
Keiji Inafune, who was the creator of Mega Man.
Mhm.
X5 was supposed to end there. The ending for X5 was that before we get up to the end, Zero was having Zero was having like dreams of Dr. Wily, and Dr. Wily was saying that you know what your job is. You know what your enemy really is.
Yeah.
So that's when we find out that Dr. Wily, that was his greatest creation. That was his creation alone. So he didn't have Dr. Light's help with this one. It was him.
Mm-hmm.
And the virus that was spread in the beginning, that virus actually helped Zero.
Like, remember?
No, it made him stronger.
Okay.
So in the gameplay of Mega Man X5, there's like these little Sigma heads, like they look purple and kind of distorted.
Mm-hmm.
And if they hit you when you're X, they take your life slowly away. It slowly depletes your health. But when you're Zero, it actually regenerates
your health. Okay.
So a lot of people didn't know that either. Everyone's like, let me just go ahead and just fucking jump away from these things. And again, you could use either the Buster or no, you can only use the sword. I believe in X5, X6, you could use the Buster with Zero. You can only use the sword, and then you got more abilities once you beat bosses with Zero.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could interchange who you wanted to pick in this game. You could either use Zero or X. However, depending on the level that you picked, Zero or X had the capability to get the armor upgrades.
Okay.
So even though all the armor upgrades were for X, Zero could still get them for X, and then you could use them later. I think they were like, 2 or 3 different ones or something like that. I don't remember. I think it was 3. Because you had the 4th armor, you had the ultimate armor, you had the Giga armor. I believe that was it. And then the Falcon armor. So you had 4.
So I guess, did the armor, give you a certain ability?
Yeah, so the Falcon armor was pretty much invincible. Better. I mean, I would say traversing through levels, the Falcon armor was better because you could just float.
Okay.
And so basically just get past everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like with Mario when you could just fly over the whole level and then come down to the pipe. But yeah, it's pretty much what the Falcon armor was. And the Falcon armor gave you a charge shot that was very thin, but it went through characters. So it would hit multiple characters as opposed to the 4th armor charge shot. You would shoot it, it would go through characters, but any characters that were coming after you, there was a big orb that stopped it, or wherever it got stopped at. The orb stayed there and it vibrated. And if there was any enemies that came through, it
sucked into it.
Yeah. Well, not sucked into it, but if they walked into it, they would get destroyed.
Take damage from it and destroyed. Okay.
The Giga armor, it was more of like a strength armor than anything. You can move blocks and stuff like that. Or specific blocks. I mean, you only needed it for one level. So, I mean, the Giga armor wasn't really that great. And then you can walk on spikes.
Taking damage.
Yeah, you can walk on spikes and not take damage. And then the ultimate armor was a black armor that you had some slash move that you could do. Like you just move like super fast and you just destroyed anything that was in your path for the most part.
Okay.
So, I mean, you had some versatility with each armor. Just you could use a couple of them more than you could the other.
Right.
I mean, unless like you went back and did all levels over again. But there's the caveat to that because now each level took a day from you. So basically the premise of the game.
So there's end game days?
Yeah, there's in-game days.
Okay.
So basically there's a space colony that Sigma put a virus on, and it was falling to the earth, and you had so many odd days to do it. So every level that you played, it took a day from you.
Oh, wow.
So you could do one of 2 things. You could either go ahead and shoot a space laser at the space colony before it landed, and sometimes it would destroy 100% of it, or it would destroy partial. So if it destroyed partial, it was still falling down. The next one was that you had to use a shuttle and Zero would use it. You had to use a shuttle to go ahead and run it into the space colony to make sure it's completely destroyed. And that was where Zero kind of found his power. If you let Zero do that, that's because the virus was on the space colony, and then that's where he grew in such power, and the virus took him over. And so he was the original Zero at that point.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a lot of moving parts in X5. There was a lot of moving parts. I will say that I think, I already got a
Had
water.
one
I'm
there.
sorry. I say that I think that was for a Mega Man game. It was super innovative.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was, and I think that's why it's one of my favorites. Is because you kind of have, you don't have to play the game the same way twice. Right. You can wait till so many odd days and do it. And either fire the cannon or use the shuttle. You can. The RNG will give you opportunities to either demolish it right away, and then you can go straight to Sigma. You can literally not beat anybody in that game and go straight to Sigma. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. If RNG allowed it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what RNG stood for again.
Random
number generated or something like that.
Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny. Kiss my ass. But yeah. Like you can literally do that and go straight to the boss. You don't even have to fight the reploids at one point. And then also the reploids on the left hand side were for the cannon, because every reploid that you fought, you got a piece of equipment for the cannon.
Okay.
Every reploid on the right hand side you fought, you got equipment for the shuttle. So it was whatever you wanted to do. It was however you wanted to do it. You could fight the first 4 and then be like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and shoot the cannon. And then you shoot the cannon. Hopefully you destroy most of it and then you're good. But if you don't, obviously you got the shuttle. But yeah, I did like the mechanics that they had for it. It was revolutionary in its time because you didn't have a lot of games that were like that.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like just something different from, at least from what I played.
Yeah.
This sounds really... What? So, I guess explain a little bit of the, obtaining weapons for the left or right side. So right now I'm thinking like Command and Conquer type.
No. It's not even so much that. It's basically like it'll show you like in like once you're done with the beginning stage, it'll pop up and be like, hey, these are the reploids. It'll pop them all up on the left side. Okay, and they'll give you a backstory on them. Like I think who was it? I think Skyver was on the right, but so they give you 4 reploids, Rex or whatever. Did we name off the reploids for X5?
Yeah, we did. It was the Japanese names versus
and then you did the English names for them.
Yeah.
So the Skyver, we'll say him for instance. He was on the right hand side, but he had something that you needed for the shuttle, right? So if you defeated all 4 of those reploids on the right hand side, you had all the equipment you needed for the shuttle.
Okay.
I think the left hand side, I can't remember who it was. I think it was either Squid Adler or I don't remember who it was. I think it was, we'll go with Squid Adler for the time being. You needed the ocean to create hydrogen. And Squid Adler was occupying the base at the ocean. So then you defeat him. Now you have access to the ocean so that you can go ahead and use the shuttle. Or not the shuttle, but the fucking gun that you need to use. Jesus, I can't get it out now. So it was kind of like that. So it was just like you needed to free up like areas to use resources in order to use the cannon. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Okay. Now it's rolling for me.
Okay.
Took a minute.
But yeah, that was pretty, like I said, pretty innovative. It was like I said, it was supposed to be the last one Keiji Inafune made because he wanted to end it off of this because he wanted to go into the Zero series after this. But that's not until another 3 games later.
Yeah. Got 6, 7, and 8.
So
Brian laughs.
I'm chilling, bro. I told you the generation is going to take over, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I told you this generation, you pick up something. So around this time, what is this? What year is
2000, well,
X5 was 2000.
2000. X6, 2001.
So you and I are about to graduate in a couple of years of high school. So at this time, we outside and the young generation is inside. They know their shit. And the games that they're following is this right now, the X series. You and I are playing like fucking Halo and things like that, Grand Theft Auto and things like that. This is why I told you your brother's going to rock this because they're inside. They know what they're doing. I could call somebody right now.
I went outside too.
I could call somebody. Oh, my bad. It does sound. It does sound kind of.
It was that transition. Like this was the transition where we started staying home, and the LAN parties were
Yeah, man, we were chasing girls, but we were chasing them. But like at the end of the day, I do look back at it and wish that I had the X series because those are some fire games. Nah, I
Got
didn't
the
have
collection, baby.
I didn't have the money like that
Right.
because I think we were working and trying to do like
Yeah.
stuff for our cars or whatever. So I guess we had different maturity at that time.
Maturity, priorities.
Priorities.
Purrs.
So you were playing football and doing things like that, and that was your downtime. Is this
Video
game?
games.
Yeah, which I love games, but I wish I really got caught into this. This is why I bought that Legacy edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Legacy Collection is great. I have all the collections, by the way. I have the original collection, 1 and 2. I have X 1 and 2. I have the Zero collection, and I
Jeez.
have the Battle Network collection.
You know,
Pokemon
I
out
bought
here.
it, but then I got triggered because I played the was that 1 through 8 first
Mhm.
part,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other joint I got kind of pissed off. So I'm gonna have to rehash that. Plus, I got 2 kids that are always in my goddamn way. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring that back up because Destiny's retired for me.
Yeah.
And FIFA is always the same shit. And every time I play Tekken or something online, it annoys me. I do see you play Naruto and shit too, but
Oh, yeah. I love that game.
I'm not playing online because these kids fuck me up.
I got to learn how to use your shurikens. Well, I'll teach you that.
I know how to use my goddamn items. They'll just put you on the ground and you won't never, they air juggle you like crazy. I got beat with like fucking Hinata, man. I was like, really?
Man, Hinata's actually pretty strong in that game.
Nasty, bro. She's nasty.
They're actually pretty strong in that game. There's a lot of characters that you would think that are strong in that game that really are.
All right.
But we digress. We digress.
What are we on now? 8, right?
We're on
X8?
X6.
He said he
Get more
wanted it.
X than goddamn BMWs.
Right.
You're on 6?
We're on 6. Yeah, all that explanation was 5.
That was 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was that guy who was asking more questions in the meeting. That was me. Yeah.
No, he asked no questions. He was holding it down.
So we're on the X6. X6 again was not supposed to be created. X6 actually at that time was the worst Mega Man X game to come out. However, again, a lot of the YouTubers and
Oh, yeah. It is around that time, right?
Yeah.
2002,
A lot.
2003.
a lot of the YouTubers nowadays and speedrunners and stuff like
2001 for X6. Okay.
that say that this is an actually better game than X5.
This is the 3D joint, right?
No, that's X7.
Damn, I'm
It's X7.
patient, aren't I? All right.
So they say this one's now better than X5. I don't know what crack they're smoking, but I will say this. X6, out of all the X series, I keep saying about soundtracks.
But
But
just that good.
Let
right?
me tell you something. Games that have good soundtracks, that means a lot. That means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah,
including
I would
myself.
agree. Yes.
X6 had a really good soundtrack.
Nice.
I would say the intro stage soundtrack was amazing. Like every time, so it's weird. You guys ever like hear a song or something like that, and it instantly kind of like teleports your mind back to a certain time in your life?
All the time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah,
Take you
yeah.
for a ride.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you for a ride. But yeah, like the intro stage for X6, it sounds like really slow and kind of, I wouldn't say lethargic, but like it's not sad, but it's kind of melancholy. And it's just because this is still short. This is shortly after. So this takes place like a couple months after, not 6 months, a couple months.
Mhm.
This we're
Says
imagining
3 weeks after the Earth crisis is what it
yeah.
says.
So
Jesus Christ.
so this is if the space colony did not get destroyed.
Okay.
And by the way, I think I'm missing something. here.
Eurasia.
I'm missing something. Let's back up to X5 real quick. So at the ending of X5, we see Zero die. We see him die. He gets shot by Sigma's deformed looking head. And Zero was already half a body during the battle between X-Zero and Sigma. Sigma shoots a beam, shoots through X and Zero. But then Zero gets the last shot as he's hitting the ground and supposedly kills Sigma.
Mm.
And then you get the silhouette of Dr. Thomas fucking Light
Oh, wow.
and said, "Hang in there, X. Hang in there."
100 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And X was repaired, revived, but he forgot who Zero was.
Oh, no.
He doesn't know who Zero is. So that's why X5 was supposed to be the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Now X6 wanted to go ahead and fuck everything up. So the space colony landed and killed a mass load of people. Now population is down. Population is highly down at this point. So X6 Mega Man is given as talk no jutsu'd his way into remembering Zero.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I said
The
talk no
hand
jutsu.
wavy.
Talk no jutsu, like hand wave, just bam, there you go. Now you remember him. He remembers everything, all the events that happened in X5. But then, like I said, the intro stage is the song is amazing. It sends me back to like middle school.
Yeah.
Because that's when it came out when I was in middle school. 2001. Yeah, 2001. You were a junior in high school, right? Sophomore in high school?
Yes. 2001. Yes.
Basically, you have the reploids and the Mavericks in this one. Can you pull up the Mavericks for me on this one? My phone's still charging. Otherwise, I would.
Yeah. So we got Commander Yamark or Yamark.
Yamark, yeah.
Ground Scaravich. Blaze Heatnix. Blizzard Wolfang. Rainy Turtoid. Turtleoid.
Yeah.
There we go. There's the L. I can't see. Rainy Turtleoid. Metal Shark Player. Shield Sheldon. Infinity Magenin.
Yeah, Infinity Magenin. So, fun fact about Metal Shark Player is that when you fight him in a dump, and he actually brings back some of the Maverick Hunters. So he has this like a little ability that he'll throw something at you or whatever it is. But he brings back, what does he bring back? Not Boomer Quanger. It was somebody. I think it was Wire Sponge.
So does he like transform his body or just shoots out
No, he
their
just
weapon?
brings like junks,
okay,
because this is in a junkyard, so he brings like a bunch of junk, and then there's a couple like previous Maverick Hunters that form.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's Wire Sponge. I think it's somebody else. I can't remember. Cannot remember. So yeah, so X6 was again pretty straightforward. There wasn't really much going on. So there were two villains. It was Isaac or Isaac, whatever you want to call him, but it doesn't spell like Isaac. We'll just say Isaac for the time being. And God, what's the main villain's name?
We have D1000.
No, not D1000.
Hymax.
Hymax is a reploid that they took over. They convinced to work with them. Not him. Oh God. This is gonna kill me now because I've played the game so many damn times. Yeah, you have to look that.
You guys went through
Zero Nightmare,
No, not Zero
Dynamo.
Nightmare.
Yeah, I went through the Yanmark people. Already.
Yeah, we went through them.
Zero
No,
Nightmare,
not the Nightmare.
Dynamo.
Not Dynamo. Oh yeah, that was the guy. I'm sorry. So that was the guy that they were talking about in the beginning of X5. That's who Dynamo was.
Okay.
That's Dynamo. He was working with Sigma. He was kind of like a freelancer mercenary type of thing. So he didn't really have a side who he was picking, Damn it.
Nightmare Mother.
No,
Gate,
not Nightmare Mother.
Boss Rush.
Gate. That's what his name is. Gate. Thank you. So Gate was a Reploid who also created other Reploids. So we evolved. Now we're Reploids creating other Reploids. I believe with X4, 5, and 6, we got a Reploid.
Joshua just gets an ass whoop.
No.
Yeah, Dubois just destroyed him.
No. In a fight? In a fight?
In the fight, yeah.
Damn, man.
Breaking news.
Oh, that hurts my soul. He's one of my favorite boxers.
His story is actually pretty good.
That's why he's one of my favorites. Like, he came off the street, like, he was a troubled kid.
Yeah.
Like, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to channel all my stuff into boxing. And damn, man, I hate when I hear that he loses.
It's the same thing that happened to Buddy from Alabama. They just keep getting rocked, right?
Yeah.
What's his name again?
No, you talking about Deontay Wilder?
Fucking guy keeps getting rocked by everybody English.
I stepped away from watching boxing.
Damn,
or
But
man.
yeah,
MMA.
Joshua down. Sorry, guys. No spoilers, I guess, but this is live.
Oh man, that hurts my soul. But yeah, where was I at? So yeah, Gate
We're
was
talking about
creating
seeing-
other reploids.
Yeah.
So I believe all of the bosses that we are going to fight, Gate created.
Okay.
So he is the new villain that we have. We're not dealing with Sigma anymore. For now.
For now.
Who was it? Alia. Alia is the role of the series in X. She doesn't appear until X4, I think. Yeah, Alia.
Mhm.
She's like the girl that gives you like the information about the stage or something like that. Alia actually went to university or robotic school, whatever it is you want to call it for reploids, with Gate. And basically Gate wanted to create the ultimate reploid.
Mhm.
And his creations were far advanced than everybody else's. So what the higher ups wanted everyone to do is they wanted to take Gate's creations and destroy them. Alia was part of destroying them, although him and Alia were really good friends.
Mhm.
Once he found out that they were destroyed because they were not within criteria of what, I guess, I don't know if it's a university they went to school for, or a lab or something like that. He vowed revenge.
Yeah.
And so that's why we have these 8 reploids that he created. Some of them I don't see how he did, like Ground Scaravich. He like rolls like a thing of poop around to try to get you. That's all he does. It's all he does. Turtle Reploid or Turtleoid or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Like
Rainy
he just like
Turtleoid.
faces you. Yeah, Rainy Turtleoid. He faces you like with his back towards you, and he's looking at you, and then he just
he goes through all this because he comes across fragments of Zero's body.
Yes,
That's wild. Yo.
yes. So he at the beginning. Thank you for picking that up, because I would have picked it up a lot later.
No, you straight. I've been following you, bro. I'm like, oh, this shit's wild.
So basically, he finds from the wreckage of the space colony,
Mhm.
he finds a piece of equipment that has the virus on it, and he picks it up. And I think like as like a week or two later, he's been infected by that virus, and he's like, "Oh my god! Like this is just an amazing feeling." So the goal was to find Zero's virus, because it was called the Zero virus at that point, because Zero had already mixed in with that virus when he went and smashed the shuttle into the space colony.
Right.
So now it's called the Zero virus. So it's supposed to grant you more power, and I want to say it's dependent on the reploid. I wouldn't say like, it's something that you can control. It probably most likely would make you go berserk.
Right.
And he even Gate even said like, "Oh, this is almost driving me insane." So yeah, it just depends on who touches it, I guess. But yeah, you go through all of that. You're trying to find where Zero's at.
Mhm.
You're trying to figure out like what's going on. So then you mentioned the Nightmare Zero. So Nightmare Zero is actually a secret boss that you go into. I can't remember whose level you have to go to get it. I think it's not Infinity Magellan. I can't remember whose it was. It could have been Infinity Magellan, because there's little warps in a lot of the levels. There's warps that you can go through.
And teleport to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's certain ones that you can use in order to get to certain secret spots. And one of them, and you know what? I forgot in X3 they had the stupid fucking henchman for that, and I completely forgot about that, but we won't care. They had, it's a secret level you go to, and then you fight a silhouette of
Mhm.
Zero. Once you fight him and defeat him, normal Zero comes out of nowhere.
Gosh.
And
I think you have to clear 8 of those nightmares. The investigators.
no. You can do it before.
Oh, you can?
You can do it before. So basically,
He's been miraculously repaired.
he was
Mhm.
miraculously repaired. He said in the dialogue, "I hid myself so I could repair myself."
If you don't shut that dumb shit
Yeah.
up, your bitch ass head. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
If I would
God.
say, if they would say like Gate found his body and repaired him.
Yeah.
That would have been so much better than this saying, like, I hid behind a rock and I was finding all the pieces that came to me and put myself together. Like, bitch, you were a torso and one arm. Get out of here. What are you going to do?
Over here repairing
Called him
himself.
half and half.
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So, yeah, I don't understand. But yeah, we are dealing with craziness when it comes to the writing. So, Capcom, I love you guys. You guys have put out great games. You guys put out some of my favorite fighting games. One of my favorite Blue Bomber games with Mega Man. But fuck, you could have done so much better. Could have done so much fucking better.
I think this is a good opportunity to shout out to the young generation of diverse people. You should be behind creating and writing stories for these games, because it doesn't always have to be the same fucking people that release stuff every 6 months on some lazy shit. We are actually gamers. I've always had this issue with fucking Destiny. And I promise you, I talk to your brother all the fucking time. And it's the same old man rant that I do. I'm like, bro, every time there's a fucking release, what do I tell you? I said, bro, check this out. We're going to finish this shit in about an hour.
Right.
And they're going to time
usually do.
And they're going to tell you to come fucking pick up clovers on this planet 6,000 times. And this is how the story is going to go. You know, it's always going to be some fucking recycled shit. And for this in particular, like, it has a lot of potential, but like, I feel like we have no involvement in any of this design or architect.
Right.
This is a big call into like our community to really get into this shit and start just being a consumer. That was my fun fact for the day.
So I always jump in, and I feel around 2000s, you know, the suits started invading the gaming industry.
Yeah.
And I mean, the story's here and the writing, I guess, sometimes, but you can start to see
connections
to just the repetitiveness, what's a great way to put it?
Sometimes I feel like there's a lack of creativity.
That, yes.
Because what they do is they use the image and what works well with the protagonist, right? But like, think about what you guys just said. Fucking Zero comes out of nowhere. I just repaired myself.
Yeah.
If you don't shut your Sting ass up, fucking Sting just shows.
Yeah. I don't know. He's from the rafters.
Oh, fire and brimstone. But I hear where you're going with this. Like, you know,
they do the whole copy paste method. Hey, this works. Pump it out until people stop.
We'll ship out 8 more robots or replicoids or whatever they're called these days.
Like, I'm surprised. I don't know. I guess that Mega Man stuck with the same gameplay, but then again, it worked. Yeah. So it's kind of...
Well, there's evolution that we've identified for sure, right?
Yes.
You have the armor mechanics that your brother was talking about, the co-op where the ability to choose a different character, protagonist.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's still the same formula, which is some crazed lunatic. Well, this time Sigma's just not going to prison. He's just not around. He's a shadow. Silhouettes of a perfect frame. Fucking Yvonne over here.
Yeah.
But it's the same formula. And I mean, as we get to like 7 and 8, I guess, we'll see if they change it. But like the whole moon base crashing, to me, that's kind of Gundam-ish. And I think this is the era where Toonami and all those things were going crazy. And Gundam was popular around this time. So as you can tell, Mega Man was Astro Boy, right?
Yeah.
And then you had the Street Fighter, you know, the arena type fighting. And then you had a lot of this space colony shit, which is more Gundam.
Okay.
So I could be wrong, but you're influenced by external factors. And I believe that could be it right there.
Yeah. You know, I say they had to get the idea from somewhere. And I guess wanting to appeal to a mass audience, they were like, let's take this.
Audience.
Yeah, new audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were like, let's take this.
Thank you.
Let's take this, throw it in a blender. Let's see what we come up with.
That's basic marketing, man. You attract, like you said. So I'm not hating on what they did. I just, maybe they had a time limit. Yo, we need this. So this game came out how long after 5 or 6, excuse me?
What have we
We're on 6, right?
Just about a year.
1 year, not even in 6 months.
Not even 6 months, but close to a year.
as we progress with the games, a lot of these games that we really enjoy take a lot of time to develop, and I feel like a lot. But then again, you got to satisfy the masses, right?
Mm-hmm.
They beat the games and they get bored. But this is probably why project management is. You have like iterations that are in the lab, like in advance.
Mm-hmm.
This is why you hire those fucking creators, those writers. My bad. We just vented on some old man shit.
It's all
It's all
good.
right because I agree with you because I don't think X6 was written well at all.
That's just the bottom line.
I don't think it was written well. I think it was, again, one of those things where it was just like, okay,
Ship out the game
Mm-hmm.
yeah, ship it out.
and bring Zero back somehow.
And don't tell Keiji Inafune that
I can see
they're
that.
going to make another game.
Oh,
I
so
can
this
see
is
that
the
a lot.
one they thought it was going to stop at?
No, it's supposed to stop at X5. That's what Keiji Inafune
Oh.
wanted because he wanted to start the Zero series.
So who produced 6? Someone else?
No, Capcom did.
Okay.
Capcom did, but they forced him. And I'm not
Like
trying to make
Kojima
Capcom to be
Konami
mad or
thing
anything like
going
that.
on.
But I mean, corporate stuff like
Was he on contract? Like he had to do one more game or something?
I don't know. It might possible. It
Mhm.
could be very possible. That's information that's not out, but that could be very possible. But
Maybe I can write that. Why was X6 created?
because they wanted more money, they wanted more money. That's
Yeah.
what it was, and then either that or lack thereof with money, thinking that X6 would actually do it. Because I mean,
Yeah.
X5 kind of left you on a cliffhanger. Really, to be
Mhm.
honest with you, it did.
So was this the down years for Capcom?
I think X5 started as the down years for
Okay.
Capcom, basically. Well, I mean, when it came,
I mean, I guess you always
let
had
me
your-
back it up because I think it might have been later because you had the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting games coming out,
Mhm.
Mhm.
or the Marvel inspired Capcom games coming out. Then you had Street Fighter Zero. So I mean, it wasn't really, and then Street Fighter 3 Third Strike was shortly after. So it wasn't really anything that was on the down years. I believe after Third Strike, so 2003.
Mm-hmm.
You're dominated by the fighting games. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after 2003, they started coming out with other fighting games that just weren't good.
That was San Andreas time though. Because I
Oh,
used to
three.
play that before
Yeah.
graduation.
San Andreas, yeah. Let's see, X6 released in 01.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So getting into that, I think we talked mostly about it. Gate was just basically trying to take over the world for the most part, or take over the world with reploids that he created, and Sigma came out the woodwork and was like, "Yeah, fuck all that." And once Gate got defeated by X, then Sigma came about and you fought Sigma, call it a day. But it's not so much you fighting this physical Sigma at this point, you're fighting the ideology of Sigma, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you aren't aware, and I probably didn't specify this, but Sigma can be in multiple bodies.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
Sigma, his ideology is that strong that anyone could embody Sigma.
This is going to touch bases of what you're talking about, Key. So this was rushed because of Christmas. So the game was rushed out barely 10 months after X5. And against, like you said, Keiji Inafune, all just to squeeze out some extra cash for the PS1 before it went off the market. So
Mhm.
this PS2 was already on the rise.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
crazy. They should have made a fucking game for PS2 though.
You know what they should have did? They should have just repackaged it and just did a double disc and did X5 and X6 for the PS2.
Hire this guy right now. This is why they need true gamers
Yeah,
to make these decisions, not these fucking people.
corporates who would understand.
Because it's always about, they always talk, they don't know anything because they're not connected to it.
Yeah.
They're not. They're just like, oh, you see the dollars? Oh, let me go ahead and take a Benjamin and wipe my ass with it and
Kinda
put it
get
in the
that.
fire.
With work where you have big tech coming in hospitals and they're like, "What? We don't understand what you're saying."
Yeah, well, we won't touch on that. We won't touch on that because that's
That could filter into a lot of things.
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, we should touch on that. Don't get me wrong, we should, but
Yeah.
we'll be sitting here fucking pulling our hair out for days.
And I'll
trying
talk to you
figure
about the
that out.
sports industry and about this
Yeah.
pay to play shit because, I'm all about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're on what? 8?
X7.
Seven, excuse
Seven.
me.
X7. So I don't know too much about this one. I played a little bit of actually played a lot more of X7 than
Did
I
he?
did. Yes,
Oh,
he
wow.
did. He played a shit ton of X7 because I watched him play it. X7
Released in 2003.
2003. This was like the longest time. This is the longest time frame that we did not get a Mega Man X sequel. I would say this was probably by far the worst Mega Man X game coming in, just because they wanted to make it 3D for the PS2 to make something different, like we did with the original Mega Man coming into SNES with bass and treble. However, the execution, I believe, was not the best. Camera angles were very bad. The gameplay itself was okay, but I would say, replayability, not there.
8 liters again. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right, so
It's stuck with that.
this is after the recovery of the Earth crisis. X steps back from the front lines of the Hunters,
Yes.
seeking
X.
a peaceful solution to the Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
But to fill the power vacuum, an illegal syndicate called Red Alert starts hunting Mavericks too. And this is led by Red
Red, yeah.
and his protege Axel.
So Axel is actually a character that you use in the beginning of the game along with Zero. So as Brian said, X stepped back. He literally stepped back. You don't get X until halfway through the game.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah. He said, fuck it. I'm not doing this. And you know what? If I was in his shoes, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
But as someone who's playing the goddamn game, no bitch, you better be on the fucking front lines, because you were there from all 6 games. How are you going to tell me that you're not going to be in the 7th one?
So they
The
wanted,
newest one at this.
so they wanted to introduce a new main character. I
Yes,
guess?
so they introduced
tried.
Axel. Axel has the ability to copy reploids.
Hmm.
So he can be them exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of his gimmick. Zero, he has his plasma sword. That's about it. That's all he's got. But yeah, you have to go through halfway through the game in order to get X. And I believe you have to do that, and you have to collect something, I believe. You have to collect what you call. I can't remember what you have to collect. Either that or it's something specific that you have to get him. But yeah, it was kind of stupid in my mind. But I mean, the 3D capabilities for it was not. I see what they were trying to go with it. And I'm not saying that they did a bad job. I'm not saying that they didn't try, but there's a lot of things that didn't fit well with the game, especially it being a
Keyshawn, you
shooter.
talk about the DNA cores. That's what he shoots with the copy shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called. If he damages the enemy, then he could pick up.
Then he absorbs their
Mhm.
ability or power.
Mhm.
Okay.
And he can be exactly that.
This
that
line
reploid.
right here is hilarious. It reminds me of motherfucking anybody that you've ever seen retire,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a psych. So that's the fight rages on. X realizes he's needed on the front lines. It comes out of retirement. He said, y'all ain't doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah, he said, fuck you guys. Y'all are not doing it right. You are
got
correct.
some Metal Gear going on.
Oh God.
So basically that's pretty much X7. X7 was nothing to write home about. Again, it was the first 3D Mega Man. So it wasn't something to be super upset about, though, because it was something that was different, something that was refreshing,
Right.
but then also could be expanded upon. And then now we're going to move over to X6 because X8,
We're on
X8,
I
because
give them some credit on trying to introduce
Yeah.
To
something.
do something different.
Yeah.
And I feel like the copy shot is kind of like what we used to do in Mega Man 1 through 8, though, right?
Mhm.
Get the power up ability.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
That's a new way to. Yeah.
To
Okay.
kind of reinvent it, I guess,
Yeah.
because Zero doesn't have that, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry.
Mm-mm.
So X8, I'm not too that one I have not played. I'm not too familiar with this one.
Really
Released in
start the-
2004.
The Jacob project, or the Yakub project, building an orbital elevator. I promise you that's goddamn Gundam. But
Yeah, pretty much.
to help the new generation of Reploids, this Reploid shit, I promise you.
So now they're actually, what they're doing is now they're actually replicating Sigma bodies.
Oh wow.
Immune to the virus.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're replicating Sigma bodies, and they have tons of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tons.
These are the humans. They tired of our shit.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, now you look back at it. You look back at these things. You look back at these things that have happened,
Mm-hmm.
and, the Reploids were trying to befriend the humans, but unfortunately, some Reploids were killing them. But now you got the humans now we're going to go ahead and turn this shit right around back on you. So it's kind of It's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, oh shit, like who's actually right here? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now the humans have a say in this with their actions, obviously.
And this is the return of Sigma, apparently.
Yes, it is a return of Sigma because he basically was reincarnated for the most part. Lumine was the supposed ally, but was the main character, one of the main characters in it. And I'm not gonna really get too much into the story. Basically, again, I didn't play too much of it. B, did you wanna say
I ain't
anything
played
about it?
shit of this game, but Lumine is the director of the Jacob or the Yaku project.
Yeah.
And like you could go ahead and take it from there.
Okay, so basically, after beating all the reploids, they finally get into it with Lumine. And Lumine, as I had mentioned earlier, said, well, you know, if we're all created with free will, how are we Mavericks? Aren't you Mavericks too?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Tom Cruise.
Tom
Holla.
Cruise. So it kind of left you on a cliffhanger. And I think Axel was knocked out from the battle.
Mm-hmm.
I believe X and Zero were kind of beaten up, but not pretty bad. But we don't know what happened. We don't know if Axel's even been revived.
Yeah.
And so we're still waiting on an X9 to figure out what's going on. I have a feeling ever since they came out with the collections
Yeah.
in Mega Man 11, which we didn't touch because, I mean, it wasn't really a part of our original timeline of playing Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that an X9 is going to come out at some point.
Zero despises his connection to the Maverick virus, realizing he's the cause of the persistence in the world. He allows researchers to seal him away so his body can be studied for its unique antibodies to the virus. This leads to the creation of the Mother Elf, which is used to end the Maverick Wars and pave the way for the Mega Man Zero series.
Yes, the Zero series. This is when shit gets real.
So we'll have to pause that right there because I got to cross this bridge.
I'll have to cross the bridge too.
All right. So, that's Mega Man X series.
It's available on Nintendo Switch. It's available on the PlayStation Store for cheap.
Or Steam.
Or Steam, but make sure you look at the Capcom sales because those hit like every
once in a while.
once
Oh,
in a
right
while.
now they got the Tokyo Game Show Capcom sales at the moment.
Check it out.
So I think it was this past weekend or something like that.
Yeah, man. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
You did a
Thank
wonderful
you.
job having us.
Brian. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Sean.
We'll have to do this again.
We will.
What next topic?
No, we got to do part 2 of this one.
Yeah.
This was part 2. You were the X series.
Oh no, we're doing Zero.
Yeah,
we're doing Zero.
I'll bring the moon next time. Then I got you.
You'll bring the moon.
Yeah, bring the moon.
Yeah, we're doing Zero and Legends and Battle Network, or Battle Network and Legends.
That's beautiful. Maybe I will have some. I'll bring a display or we'll put the display
up.
that way
Yeah.
you guys can see it while y'all playing or talking.
Yeah, man. Sounds good.
Make it a little bit interesting because
Yeah.
this is about to scale up. Yeah, I should be subscribing to this motherfucking channel on this podcast because this is for true gamers.
Subscribe. Yes. Well, can they reach you anywhere? Any handles you want to give out? PSN?
No, I don't accept people on PSN
He
because
said no one.
that's too much of a commitment. I mean, but if they play with you and they see me at a party, shout out to you. That's Cousin Maze.
You got any
No,
Instagram or anything? Any handles that you want people to follow you on?
At the moment, we're going to be focusing on the soccer business. So once that starts scaling up, I'll share the information.
Well, put that out there. What's going on with the soccer business?
Oh, I don't think it's that time, but yeah. If you want to go ahead and use this opportunity for
coming
actual
soon.
promotion, your boy's working on the D license. I'm a full-fledged rec coach, 2.5 years. And I have my own business called Kick On. One word. This is where we offer after-school soccer sessions for your local schools, from elementary schools, from VPK up to 7th grade. And I've offered 4 programs this year, incorporated as of January 2024. We're going to look into getting an open facility in 2025 to help teach grassroots soccer, advanced, intermediate training, personal training, individual, and group. That's called Kick On. Look out for that.
What's the website for it, or do you not have that yet?
I'll share that with you guys later to have it pinned up, but I am developing that as a one-man show.
Okay.
Hey, put in the work.
Yeah. Well, hey,
I appreciate the
sounds good.
opportunity.
we're always here to make sure that our brothers from childhood get to where they need to be. If our platform's out here, your platform's going to be out here.
Yeah, real talk, listeners. This isn't like, there's no script here. This is straight up. So I really am grateful. And I'll talk to you guys on the flip side.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, listeners.
Yes, thank you, listeners. Audi 5000.
Shout out to Chewy.
Chewy.